So this is just a look at the benefits and the drawbacks of 21 by 9. I am a massive supporter of 21 by 9. I'm new to it, well, relatively new, about 6 months now, and I can't go back. It's where I want to stay with my screen sizes, for every reason. I know my channel just at the moment only covers many gaming centric reasons for 21 by 9. It's the main reason I set up the channel, but for other reasons, certainly like productivity, it's an extremely useful screen size to be using. So I'll start with the benefits. You get better vision in game, so you see more, and you're more immersed in the world, and it can give you a better advantage certainly at playing games. You're seeing more horizontally than anyone on 16 by 9. For productivity, this screen aspect ratio is fantastic. You don't need two separate screens. You can just do everything on the one screen. You haven't got the physical bezel dividing your two working areas, so you can just stick stuff side by side. So you might have two Word documents and you could have the internet, rebrowsing the internet all on one screen. I'm currently on a 2560 by 1080 screen, so it's not as high res as a 1440p screen, which I would love to get to. That's what I'm hoping to upgrade to. And I know there's a lot of people who say that 2560 is not worth the upgrade because you're not getting enough pixels to be able to be as productive as be able to open as much as you can on a 1440p screen. But going from a 16 by 9 screen to 21 by 9 and remaining at this pixel density, I'm still loving it. I still find it a huge increase, and I can't wait to get to a 1440p. It is a relatively new resolution. It's growing in popularity and it's actually growing very fast, and there's great reason for that. Certainly getting some very lovely new Dell and LG curved monitors that we saw at CES very recently, and hopefully it's going to be the resolution that will come in like 16 by 9 was many years ago, well, not a lot of years ago, because it just has so many benefits to it. And with this increase in popularity, the selection of screens is growing very quickly. Watching movies now, this is ridiculously good. You get so used to seeing black bars because you're watching movies on TVs or your current 16 by 9 screen. You're always seeing black bars, and a lot of people, even though they hate black bars, it really does take you out of the world. You just have to get used to it because everyone currently, the majority of people have a 16 by 9 screen. I mean, TVs are all 16 by 9. When you move to this monitor, 21 by 9 monitor, there are no black bars when you're watching movies, and it really is the absolute best experience for any movie lover like myself. For video and audio editing, it's much easier as you have a greater horizontal workspace viewable, so there's less scrolling. You can just work with a lot more on one screen, which is always a lot more convenient and a lot more comfortable and efficient to do. And not having multiple monitors is great. Just having the one monitor instead of having to deal with multiple monitors side by side, and maybe they're different makes, so they don't actually straight match up, or for looks you might have a problem with it, or there's a number of reasons why having the multiple monitors can actually be a very big drawback, and I like the idea of having one monitor with everything on it. Certainly I'd love to get a 34-inch 21 by 9 1440p monitor. That I think would be the optimal monitor. You have a huge amount of workspace, and yet it's all on one screen. The new curved 21 by 9 screens are also adding a fantastic new spin on the current flat 21 by 9 screens, and I haven't unfortunately had personal experience, but I have heard from many people, certainly Linus Tech Tips, he's covered many different 21 by 9 curved screens and actually has come out and said that they aren't a gimmick, and actually there is a lot to be said for having that curved build to the monitors. So that's something I would love to be able to upgrade to and experience, because when you do look at a 21 by 9 monitor, I'm only on 29 inches, and even that, the corners are a long way away, so when you go to higher screen sizes, I can certainly see it being beneficial to have that curved build. The drawbacks of 21 by 9 aren't big. There aren't a lot of them, but there are some. For those of you who love TV shows, are far more into TV than you are movies, then the black bars can be annoying because TV shows are generally 16 by 9 or even 4 by 3, and some of you will maybe stretch or crop 16 by 9 to make it fit the 21 by 9, which is fine, but if you're watching something like 4 by 3, that's something you physically couldn't do. You would lose far too much. So black bars can be annoying, but actually a way that I found that I could get around it is to actually not full screen the video, because I can just make it half the screen and then just do something else on the other half, and because there's no black bars, it's not an issue, and because the screen's so big you can do that without an issue. So that was one of the ways that I got around it. But yeah, it would be personal preference on how much that affects, or how much you hate black bars, basically. FPS does fall in games. You can look through my channel and actually see specific games, and you can see how they're affected. I generally find that games will drop 5 to 10 frames. I mean, it depends on the game, it depends on the graphic settings, but generally that's the average that I find. And I'm on a GTX 970, so it could also depend on your graphics card, but it's not a huge jump. It's certainly nothing like if you're going from 1920 1080 to 1440p. It's nothing like that. It's a much smaller gap, so it's something. It's not like it's not a viable solution for those with sort of mid-range graphics cards. Unfortunately, not all games do support 21 by 9, even with hacks. There are some games that just don't support it, or they rely on stretching or some other crazy way to work. So unfortunately, yes, there are many games that do support 21 by 9, and the majority will either support it or have a mod to fix it. There will be the few that don't, and you'll have to use black bars, and that can be very frustrating. 21 by 9 screens are now generally pushing for 1440p. We're generally moving away from 1080 and trying to push towards 1440p and 4K. At 1440p, 21 by 9 monitors, that's I think where they are most optimal at the moment. Obviously 4K is extremely expensive still, but 1440p is certainly a very viable solution for many people. But moving to 1440p and at 21 by 9, you are rendering a lot more than your 16 by 9. You're rendering more than double the number of pixels, and so you are going to have a very high end, or depending on the game obviously, you are going to have to be careful on what games you play at what resolutions, or what graphic settings, and you might find that you will have to drop a lot of graphic settings to keep that 1440p native res. Otherwise you might get the unfortunate screen tearing, which occurs from not running at native res. As I said before, it is a new platform. Well, it's a relatively new aspect ratio. It's not massively adopted yet. Hopefully it will become the new norm, but unfortunately this does mean that there are few monitors to choose from. There are a good few, but compared to 16 by 9 it's nothing. There's very, very few. However, the good news is that it's more the case that there's a very few, but the few that there are high quality instead of many monitors at a low quality choice. So this is the one benefit. There are a lot of beautiful, very nice, very affordable 21 by 9 screens. This is a small bugbear which I have currently for any 21 by 9 monitor that I come across at the moment, is the large stand size. Because of the fact that they are so wide, they have to have such a big stand to support that width, and this can be a pain to have on the desk. And it's certainly, I would recommend, if you could, try and putting a wall mounting onto the screen so you can just free up that desk space. I just feel it takes away, because you got your keyboard and then now you got to pull it towards you, and I'm rather tall, so my arms take up a lot of desk space. So in that case, I would like to have smaller stands for my monitors, but with 21 by 9 it's not really an option. So yeah, if you can wall mount, it's definitely, you'll feel the benefit on that. So I hope that gives you just a quick understanding, a quick overview of 21 by 9 screens, why you should get it, why maybe you might want to think twice about getting one. I certainly, from personal experience, even though there are a few cons, I cannot just advise anyone enough to go for this new screen resolution. A load of my friends, they were a bit skeptical to start. I had them over, had them see it, and they were sold in minutes. It's really, once you see it, once you play around with it, you really understand why it just is so much better than staying with your 16:9 screen. The only issue is once you get it, you're going to find that every other screen that's not 21:9 is like a box. So I hope that gives you just a better understanding. And if there's any questions, just inbox me, put in the comments. Hopefully I can help you out. So other than that, have a good day. Check out my channel if there's any other 21:9 stuff that you want to know. I hope to cover as much as I can, keep you up to date on any wide screen gaming. And yeah, have a good day.